What's up, YouTube? This is TheKillerNacho again, and I have a battle here with a guy named poopzy13. And he is a pretty cool guy from YouTube and the TPX chat. So let's see what happens. Alright, so I lead with my Choice Band Infernape Rage, and he leads with a Zapdos, which isn't so good, so I'm just going to U-turn the heck out. It's not very effective, and it doesn't do a whole lot because Zapdos is usually pretty physically bulky, so I'm just going to go out into Bunny to take a Thunderbolt that I predict. So anyway, I don't know what he's going to do. I know he can't take a Thunderbolt too well, so I thought he'd go out into, like, for some reason I thought Tyranitar. Since I saw Tyranitar in his team, I know it's like a choice, I know it's like a Sandstorm team, so I go for the Hidden Power Fighting. He ends up staying in, which is pretty bad. He goes for a Heat Wave and misses, so that's not bad for me. So now I'm just going to go out into Maniac. He ends up missing a Heat Wave again, but that doesn't really matter too much, since Maniac wouldn't take much from a Heat Wave anyway. But anyway, I'm just going to U-turn now, and he's going to keep staying in, so this Zapdos is kind of annoying for this team. This is a team I just kind of threw together just because it looked fun to use, and I realized I don't have a whole lot of outs for this Zapdos. Anyway, he's going to go for the Hidden Power. It's probably Grass or Ice, since that's what you usually see on a Zapdos. Either way, it's neutral to my Jolteon. I'm going to go for a Thunderbolt, because this is a Specs Jolteon, so I know I can do a bunch with Thunderbolt. He is going to hit Heat Wave this time, do a decent chunk to Jolteon, but I know I can 2AK with Thunderbolt, so I'm just going to go for it, trying to take this Zapdos out, and I do, so that's not terrible, because this Zapdos was otherwise going to be a big pain in my butt. Okay, so now he goes out into Galurk, which is pretty annoying. I'm locked into Thunderbolt, I have to switch. I go out into Thor, my Zapdos, just to take a hit, because I know I can take pretty much any hit that a Galurk has, but he ends up going for a Sub, which is a pretty nice play. And even though I am a physical wall Zapdos, and I know I can take, a fighting move or a ground move, and pretty much any move, honestly, I really don't have a whole lot to do except for a Heat Wave. He ends up going for a Shadow Punch, which I do take okay. Not as well as I really like to, but yeah. I go for a Heat Wave, break his sub. I get a useless crit because it would have broken the sub either way. And now I'm going to go for a Heat Wave again and crit again. So I feel actually pretty terrible about this because I'm not usually one to get a bunch of hacks. So I don't know. Like, I know, it's not my fault, and, it's just the game, but I still don't like getting hacks, because then I feel like, I didn't deserve, winning, or didn't deserve losing quite as bad. But you know what I mean. Anyway, so I'm going to finish him off with Heat Wave now, so Galurk is dead, and that's not terrible. He ends up going into Tyranitar, and I know this thing's probably going to Dragon Dance or something retarded, so I decided just to go for a T-Wave to paralyze it. But he has the Lumberry, which is pretty annoying. It's a pretty nice, actually, item to put on a Tyranitar, since, Dragon Dance Tyranitar is still pretty slow, and he really doesn't want to take a T-Wave, so that's not terrible. And obviously it protects you from paralysis and burn and all that other annoying stuff that will destroy Tyranitar sweeps. Anyway, he is going to finish off my Zapdos now, and that's pretty bad. I go out into Infernape just to go for the Mach Punch. This is a Choice Band Infernape, and I did put Mach Punch on it, so he goes out into Donphan, which is a pretty good play to absorb it, and now I'm just going to go into my Fishy, which is a bulky water Melodic, and I did train this guy in defense, so he actually does not take the Earthquake as well as I'd like. He does have Life Orb in that Donphan. A lot of people forget, though, that Donphan actually has pretty good base attack. I think it's like base 100. So it's pretty nice base attack. With a Life Orb, this Donphan is a major offensive threat, and normally you don't see offensive Donphans. Normally you see the bulky ones. But this is a pretty interesting surprise, so yeah, it's a pretty interesting poke overall. Anyway, I do see that he has the Life Orb, and I know that with Recover I can probably Life Orb stall him, and at this point I'm hoping I can KO with Scald, so I'm just going to go for it this turn. He ends up switching, so I get a Scald off on a Scizor, which isn't so bad, because it does decent damage. And here I see the Life Orb, so I know this is a Swords Dance one, except instead of like a Choice Bander like you normally see, in my opinion. Well, though Swords Dance is still pretty popular, but yeah. I decided to break the Swords Dance and go for a pretty nice move called Dragon Tail. It's going to do some minor damage, but also switch him out, so it's a decent phasing move. Anyway, so now he goes out into Tyranitar. I'm just going to go for the Scald again, because I kind of figured he wouldn't go for a Dragon Dance, just because, he already saw the Dragon Tail, but he ends up going for the Dragon Dance, so that's like, oh, okay. I go for a Scald, which is super effective. Even with his special defense boost, it's going to do decent damage. It looks like it does about a third. He doesn't have Life Orb or Leftovers recovery because, you know, he already had the Lumberry, so that's kind of nice. I decided just to go for the Scald again, kind of hoping for a burn. But I actually get it, which is actually kind of pointless now that I'm thinking about it, just because, you know, my Fishy's pretty much already almost dead, and even without the burn, she's going to die to another hit, so it's rather whatever, and obviously I'm just going to go out, I could just go out into Infernape to scare this guy away, so it's not really a big deal I got a burn, because it's almost dead at this point anyway. He goes for a Crunch to finish me off. It kind of stinks, but nothing I can really do about that. I go out into Maniac, because I know this is a Scarf Flygon, so I know that I'm still faster after a single Dragon Dance. I go for a U-turn, just in case he feels like switching, and I can get a pretty nice switch. He ends up staying in, so that's a KO, so that's not terrible. I go out into Rage now, my Infernape, because I know I can lock myself into pretty much, looking at his team, I know there's a pretty nice move I can lock myself into anyway, for anything. He goes out into, Donphan, and I probably should have close combated here, because it probably would have KO'd, but I decided to be safe and just U-turn, and that's probably a pretty bad play in hindsight, but what can I say? Alright, I go out into my, what's this, Hentei Rape Monster, that's all you need to know, and I'm just going to, you know, take that Earthquake. He has the Fire Fang, which I didn't expect, and that's going to kill me, and that stinks. And he is going to live the Iron Barbs and the Life Orb, which is super lame. So here, I wanted to go out to Infernape, but then I misclicked, and that's horrible. I tend to make one of the worst misclicks ever, and I go out into Flygon. And then for some reason, I make a misplay after my misclick. I should have just went into Infernape to take that Ice Shard, because all of them have it. I knew he had Ice Shard. But I was like, oh crap, what if he predicts it in Earthquakes? I don't want to lose my Infernape. But this was a pretty bad play, because that Flygon probably could have taken at least one hit from an unboosted attack from Excadrill, and I know he has Excadrill. So that was not good for me. Anyway, so now I go out into Infernape, Twist Scissor, go for the close combat. He's not going to be able to do a whole lot with Bullet Punch. I go for the close combat that kills the Scizor, and he has the Excadrill left, and I really would have liked to have Flygon at this point, but sometimes misplays kill you. But anyway, so my only hope here is to let him kill Jolteon, and hope that, you know, he has Life Orb, so he does enough Life Orb recoil that I'll be able to KO with Mach Punch, because obviously he's faster in the Sandstorm, so I go back into Infernape, and I'm just going to go for a Mach Punch, hoping to KO. And it's super effective, and I am choice banned, but he survives it well enough so he could take another, you know, Life Orb hit, so it's not even a tie. But that is a good game. We both made some pretty nice plays, some pretty bad plays, in my opinion. It was a close game overall. I mean, it kind of sucks to lose to a misclick and then a misplay, but I don't know. What can you do? Everyone makes mistakes at times. I am not even immune. In fact, I'm not really that great of a battler as some people think I am. I just enjoy playing the game. But it was a fun match, poopzy13. Make sure you check out his channel. He's a pretty awesome YouTube battler himself, so you won't regret checking him out. Today's question of the day is, what is the biggest mistake you've ever done in a Pokemon's battle? Whether it's a misclick or a misplay, anything counts. I think probably that misclick and misplay together at the end of the battle probably was one of mine. I don't know what I was thinking, really. I don't know why I misclicked, and I don't know why I misplayed, because I knew it had Ice Shard. I might have just been tired, because this was like 2 days ago. I don't even remember what I was thinking, honestly. But yeah, leave a comment about that, and check poopzy13 out. He's an awesome guy. Rate, comment, subscribe, and see you guys later. Oh, and like. You know, you hit that like button, because apparently, like, rating is no longer existent, but do like. Like is good. Alright, peace out, homies.